Welcome back to another week of DXV with Chris, Nye, and Ollie. A huge weekend of rugby this weekend, guys. Investec Cup. I know there was some sevens going on in the background, Hong Kong sevens. I certainly put it on kind of Friday morning, bleary-eyed, getting woken up by my dog at the crack of dawn, and there was some good stuff there. But yeah, and some European Champions Cup as well. Thoughts, guys, on kind of how it all went. So we had quick rundown of the games, I guess. We had Friday, we had Quins, Glasgow. That was a pretty sort of tight knit affair. Saturday was a big one for it. We had Bulls, Lyon, Chiefs, Bath, Stormers, La Rochelle. Again, really, really close game there. Bordeaux, Saracens, absolutely smashed them out of the park. And then Leinster against Leicester, which I actually missed, but I heard it was a pretty good game. And then Sunday we had Northampton, Munster, and Toulouse, Racing. Any kind of standout games for you guys?
For me, Quins, the old Quins Glasgow was good, given that I was at the stadium.
Was there.
Behind the posts, it was decent. Yeah, no, it was good. It was a really good game actually. Really good stadium as well. I hadn't been to the Stoop before. Really enjoyed it though. Good time. Plenty of Glasgow fans turned out, so lots of chanting on the walk down. More quiet on the way back, fortunately for Quins. Yeah, really good game. Really strong performances. Marcus Smith, again, had an excellent game. Could led the team. Don Brandt did well. Will Evans, that matchup against Roy Darge was a big one. Obviously kind of a staple of the Scotland team now. And I think Will Evans gave him a run for his money, which says a lot about someone who has kind of been knocking on the door of the England squad for a while now. I thought he had a particularly good game, and it's really good for that team to actually go through in what is their kind of first knockout game into the quarterfinals now against, but quite a tall order against Bordeaux in the next round. I think that was probably, obviously for me, is my favorite game just because I was there, but there were some really great games. I was talking to Nye yesterday with Northampton versus Munster. I was on the phone when we were having a little meeting. I had it on the other screen and just kind of kept jumping out and giving it the and they got over the line in the end, which was good as well.
Substitute dream of getting on the pitch and getting some meat pies.
It was mental game, actually. Like, just in terms of the quality, right? Like, end to end stuff. Like, and it wasn't like defense optional kind of stuff either. Like, the defense was strong, tries getting held up over the line, but it was just. I would not want to play that game. I was glad I watched it and not running around the pitch.
So I was, I did like the Bulls Lyon because I was sort of knew that it was going to be a little bit one-sided, and I thought some magic might come out. So watching that, obviously, was that little bit of a landslide. I know it comes out as sort of 59-19, but obviously one of them was a penalty try. Like Moody got sort of yellow card, cleared high tackle, sort of meter off the line, would have made it there. So yeah, but even with that yellow card was again like the backs, like Willie LaRue, there's some like internationals on display, like some of the missed passes, putting people in corners, again some end-to-end stuff, but still had some really, I think like the Bulls, so their forward carrying got them over the line. Scored quite a bit of tries. It was it's a good one to watch. Obviously,
you mean strong forward carries from the South African team now? That sounds like
crazy. And then sort of and having like my personal favourite referee Luke Pearce after sort of last weekend's performance. It was just crazy. And if you listen to the commentary on it, I think I counted about 7 times they said altitude and Pretoria. It's just one of those things. They think that Lyon's particularly low. But it's one of my favourite things when I was watching, just to tick off the commentary as they were saying it.
I do love the Champions Cup just because you almost get like a league on league rivalry, right? So you see some of the stuff on Twitter, like people loving the URC, people loving the Prem, top 40, and I think you get a lot of that. So it's a rare chance for kind of like supporters of different clubs to get behind even each other. And it was a decent weekend for the Prem, 3 teams going through. Exeter overtook Bath, which I don't think a lot of people would have bet had you asked.
Wrote them off. Yeah.
That was a really close game. I caught the
Yeah.
highlights of that, and it was crazy close.
Faye Waboso again, like after his performance in Ireland, like probably the name on everyone's tongue at the minute in the Prem,
Man of
and
the
showed
match?
why.
Or player of the match?
Yeah, player of the match. Just didn't score a try, but just like created so much, and just how do you tackle that man? Like he's quick, he's powerful, he's evasive. He's just
And even if you get to him, people just seem to slide off him.
Yeah.
I don't know what people just like can't get to seem to like grip him or something. I don't know. Too much Vaseline on his legs or something.
And then you
Yeah.
hear him speak, and he's such a humble, nice bloke as well. And like all his after-match interviews, he's like such an aggressive carrier, and then he's the most sweet bloke on the actual interviews. It's really nice actually. I really rate him as a player. I mean Bordeaux Saracens. I think most people would have guessed that result. Saris just really didn't show up, like
Yeah.
at all.
Another game I caught the highlights for, and they kind of just looked in disarray the whole game to me, or certainly on the highlights they did. And
Yeah,
I don't think they even put any points on the board until quite late on the game.
that was not one to like.
Yeah.
That was. I wasn't super excited about the end result. Like I support in this kind of thing, I was going to support any Prem team, right? And it was, going in, you knew it was a tall order, but you hoped Saracens with that kind of pedigree, that they might be able to pull something out of the bag, a bit of a redemption game, right? Got hammered last time, and then it just continued. Penno was incredible during that game, just all over the park. He doesn't look that strong. And then like you see some fairly like what are potent, powerful tacklers and carriers and defenders just falling off him. Like he's bumping people off, and I'm like, you're a wing. Stop doing that. Like you should be fast and small. That's all we need. Like, but no, you're fast, evasive, huge carrier, create magic. Yeah, he's kind of the total package, and he was a big highlight, I think, of the Bordeaux team that weekend. And that was without having Jalabert, right? That was down their like first choice 10.
Yeah. So we touched on the majority of them. Do you guys have any kind of thoughts on? I don't think we touched on the Leinster Tigers one, have we? Or you?
Again, no great surprise, I think.
Yeah.
Leicester put in a really good effort. Like it was it was much closer than I thought it was going to be, and there were moments where you thought, hang on, Leicester might do something here. But I think in the end, Leicester just showed their class when they're bringing Irish internationals off the bench. Like, you're like, okay.
They've always like I said last week on the podcast. Obviously, the two to look for, and if anything, I would have almost backed the other way around. But Leinster was like it is a very strong Irish team in terms of like the internationals and the class. And I think Tigers didn't play badly, but I think Leinster always looked that little bit sharper, that little bit better. They just sort of carried that meter more. They just sort of utilised their breaks a bit better. But yeah, it wasn't like I said. Tigers didn't play bad. They just sort of got outclassed a bit. I think
it was a better team. Yeah, I think it was probably one of Leicester's better games actually this season. Like they put up a really valiant effort. It just wasn't to be for them. And then you look at like that Leinster team and the Stade Toulousain team as well. And like I remember doing the pre-match analysis and I was watching. I was like almost every single one of them is international or has been like capped. So in Stade Toulousain against Racing, entire French front row, entire French second row, entire like international back rows. You had Jack Willis, Francois Craw, like. Then you've got the 9 Antoine Dupont, Romain Ntamak. Then you go into the centers, and it just doesn't stop. Like you're all international capped, French or otherwise. And like, how do you play them? And Racing just didn't have an answer either. Like 31-7. So
I'd be interested to see what they're like in the French league actually, like in terms of where they're kind of placed.
So they won it last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's the current standing for it?
I think between it was third and fourth. I think Toulouse is third and Racing's fourth. Racing was at the start of the Champions Cup. Racing was top.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, no, me. Yeah. So
Lost Tim Russell.
Stade Francais Toulouse, Racing 9-2. I mean, Toulouse and Stade Francais are just so far ahead though. 63 points, 60. Racing 52, Toulon 51, La Rochelle, Bordeaux. I mean, this is the thing, man. Like, Bordeaux are 6th, and they've absolutely put away Sarries, who at the moment are
third in the Prem.
Yeah, third. I mean, yeah, and then I guess Sarries didn't have.
I mean, being in France makes a difference. I think it's more of a home advantage. I'd love to speak to like some actual rugby play, like some international or professional rugby players, and speak to them like how many points is home advantage actually worth, and then how many points is home advantage in France worth, right? Because like being at the World Cup last year, they do it different. Like we think our stadiums are noisy, we think our fans like put out the old chant here and there. Like no, the French go mental, and
the French
they
are
are
releasing
loud.
live roosters into the crowd, and the full brass bands. Like they go big.
It is.
Yeah, the Gigonauts.
Rugby is next level down there. Like particularly on the south of France when we were in, it just gets crazy.
You guys went for the World Cup, didn't you?
Yeah, we went. I went Marseille twice. Lille. Did we go Lille twice? Did we do Lille once? I think we did Lille twice.
Yeah, I think we did it once, and then you.
Yeah.
Did it once. I did Nice. That was a nice weekend right down south.
Yeah, and they, like I said, they love their rugby down there. Like they genuinely love their rugby, and it shows in the stadium. I'd love to see the advantage. Like we all see it, right? Like the replays over and over and over again until the call goes the way. It shows. Like I said, I'd love to know what that home advantage is worth. I think it's worth probably more in France than it is most places in the world, bar maybe the altitude in South Africa, right?
Pretoria altitude.
So, based off like the weekend's performances, do you guys have any kind of who's your like high flyer in terms of team to win it? I mean, we'll go over like next week's fixtures in a bit, but based off those performances at the weekend, I mean, I'm looking like my eyes immediately going to like Bulls 59 points to Lyon's 19, and strong. Like they looked strong in that game. Like Quins maybe. I don't know if possibly.
Nah.
What are your guys' thoughts on it?
I think the biggest asks of anybody. So the biggest asks at the minute for the next round. I think Exeter's probably got the biggest task in front of them. Toulouse is immense. I don't know how do you stop them, right? They have a power game. Their offloading game is just crazy. Like you don't know where it's going to come from, when it's going to. You just can't tackle them because the ball's always live, and I don't know how they do it. I'm gonna have to back one of the Prem teams. I'm gonna have to do it. Northampton Saints. I think they're probably the biggest hope for the Prem. League leaders at the minute. The way they're playing, defense has been tidied up. Attack is great under Sam Vesti.
Yeah.
They seem to want it as well, but then it's always a question of what do you prioritize, right? Like you're top of the Prem at the minute. Do you prioritize that and make sure you can get through? But they've also got a lot of people leaving, sort of like Courtney Laws, Lewis Ludlam, Alex and Ethan Waller, all kind of going away next year. So if you're going to win stuff, at least for a while, this is probably your best time to do it. I think they know that.
The scoreline doesn't flatter them, but I think Leinster are still that team to sort of that Irish pedigree, the internationals. Again, we've said Leicester Tigers didn't exactly play badly, and Leinster still won, sort of, and always looked relatively comfortable, never looked panicked. I think they didn't have the biggest scoreline of the weekend, but they're still definitely a team that you'd sort of fancy going forward.
Yeah, but they've got La Rochelle next, and that's a big old ask.
Big game.
That's an ask and a half.
I was about to say that because I was going to put my 2 cents in, but I'm now looking at the next week's games.
Cheating.
So I can beat you guys. So Chris, you're going Northampton. Now you're going Leinster.
Backing them strong.
I was going to say Chiefs, but they've got to lose.
I'd love to say Quins as well. Like, I think Quins are an outside chance, right? Like, they've had a bit of a off season, like not off season. They've done well, but it's just not gone as well as it can. Like, their attack is great. It's just a bit.
I don't see them beating Bordeaux this week, mate.
I genuinely can. I genuinely can.
I
They're held. They have a particular. So Sarries were undone by mistakes. Like, I'm not saying Bordeaux isn't a great team. They are, and they have some excellent players, right? You look across the park and they're excellent. I mean, their back line is pretty much the French back line. But genuinely, I think you've got to have some players who are going to stand up. I mean, they beat Glasgow this weekend, right? And Glasgow aren't like pushovers. They're currently second in the URC, and they've also got vast swathes of what is the Scotland international team in it. You know, Sino Tuapolato, who else there? Rory Darge, like Matt and Xander Fagerson. Like, there's quite a few big old names in there playing for them as well. So I can see him doing it. It's an outside chance of, like, I reckon you'd get decent odds on it, but
I think if they're in the
no.
lead at 79 minutes, they'll probably win.
Cheers, not valuable input.
I thought I'd add my thought to that.
Adding value at every level, mate.
Yeah.
Cool. So we've gone over the weekend's games. Let's go over some like standout players from the game. So we've kind of heard already the likes of like Fable Boso, LaRue, Penno. Do you guys have any more thoughts on kind of your standout players? If you were, if we were running this as a kind of like a fantasy, what player would you want in your team from kind of last weekend's game?
I mean, like, okay, limit it because
yeah.
you've got the likes of like Toulouse, who like Antoine Dupont goes in any one fantasy team. But given that we're not going to do the top 14 at least for a while, kind of admit that. But I'd go. Antoine Dupont, Intermac are big ones. From the Chiefs, you could probably make an argument for the likes of. So I've been really impressed by Fisselau as well. Like, doesn't get as many plaudits, but I think he's a really strong player and has a really promising future. He's perhaps not as big an 8, but I think he's really mobile and carries hard. From Saints, you're probably looking at the likes of Lewis Ludlam had a hell of a game, actually. Like, he did really, really well. George Hendy, the obvious one off the bench, young wing for Northampton, did really well. But I think Freeman was quite instrumental in that game as well.
Yeah, he had a good game.
Yeah,
he just picks smart lines.
I don't know. I was watching that game, and I think it was. I think I put it on the group chat actually, because my sort of daughter was like, "Oh my god, he looks like a Weasley brother." It's just that one shot of like a big ginger mop going over in the corner. I was just kind of this little. It did make me chuckle actually. I'm sure he's heard it before. But...
Yeah, I thought he was strong. I think there's, like, to be fair, there's like, you have a decent choice in that Northampton. Curtis Langdon, by the way. What a game. Like, did you see his pace on the chase back? I think I was on the phone to you and I when it happened. Like, he chases the kick, catches it, gasses a winger, goes around and brings it back into contact. Yeah,
that's nice.
He is. Yeah, I think he could be next level good. Reminds me almost of like a Sheehan that still has the power in the contact and the size, but is just very mobile. Yeah, like very, very mobile around the park. I think for an England team that was worried about their depth at hooker when going into the World Cup, all of a sudden it looks a little bit more bright with the likes of Theo Dan, Curtis Langdon, Jamie George, etc. So he's a big one. I think he was probably my player who I was most surprised by, because I knew he was good, but that just really kind of, when you see something, you're like, sorry, what? And it was one of those.
Yeah.
Peartley, Aaron T, like when you're looking at like absolutely quality wingers, like not only did he score obviously like the setups, and like he must have put about 3 people in for tries. He had a really strong game. Yeah, Willie LaRue though, like his, like just throwing like 30-meter passes off his left hand, just putting people in for games. Really strong defense. Got a couple of turnovers, which is kind of difficult to see when you're playing in that sort of 10 centre channel.
You had a pretty good game night, didn't you? Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we forgot to put Nye in the fantasy team, mate. Straight in, number one pick.
Yeah, no one's gonna pick. No one's gonna pick Nye for their fantasy team.
I didn't want to pick my team. I didn't want to pick myself. I was waiting for one of you two to mention the fact that I had a fantastic day out last Thursday. Had the opportunity to play at Twickenham, which I've got no doubt for the one Welshman. for the one Welshman, chat to two English people, and I'm the one that gets to play at Twickenham. Feel a little bit bad for you two, but a really great day out for Wooden Spoons, Vets charity rugby team. We were nice enough to get the offer from the Houses of Commons and Lords Rugby Club. Again, still quite a unique team, but got the opportunity to go down and play on the hallowed turf at Twickenham for the game, which is brilliant. I like even for a Welshman, it's not very often that a Welshman gets a score at Twickenham. But two meat pies, 2 tries. It was a fantastic day. We raised, I think, all in total, well over £130,000, and that was a mixture of the Wooden Spoons charity and the Injured Rugby Players Foundation, sort of the RFU charity. So huge day. Managed to piss off a lot of people by getting my Welsh budgie smugglers on and taking a bath at Twickenham.
I hope they were washed thoroughly.
When you're at Twickenham, why wouldn't you? You get a bath if you can? But no, followed by as standard good social rugby, by a good few beers in Twickenham afterwards. So I've got some good photos for those of you interested. Keep eyes on website, and I'll check out a little blog post, and you can see what both of the charities are doing, and a chance to get involved with some great charity rugby.
And Chris, what about you, mate? What have you been up to?
So this weekend's been obviously we did the Twickenham stoop. Me and the wife went. She loved it. Actually, it was a really good atmosphere. Other than that, just work, mate. So I'm the boring one, I'm afraid. We've had a few drop-in sessions for people to come along, chat through, give us thoughts on our initial designs. So if you want to do it, then drop us a message. We'll keep on running them to get thoughts on the kind of game and how it's being built. So far, been pretty positive in feedback. I was saying tonight, I almost need someone now to tell me something bad, so it makes me feel like people aren't just being too nice. But it's gone really well. Those have been really productive, I think. Really happy that we chose to do that, and we'll keep them going. We've got another one coming up on Wednesday at 6 p.m. 1800. It's UK time for all of our international listeners. Because we did have someone come on from Italy actually, which was really cool.
That was cool.
Yeah, decent. Cool. That's kind of made up most of the weekend. And I went to a pub quiz last night and absolutely smashed it.
Oh, nice. Do you want to give us a little question, or can you not remember any? I always like doing this.
What was the score between Harlequins and Glasgow?
No, still got it wrong.
I know this.
What was one of the weirder questions?
My partner's parents are really they're keen on it, and they will go every single week. Absolutely love it. And then when we go up, they'll quiz us. I feel like I'm on an episode of Mastermind whenever I go up. Research and revise, otherwise they'll find out I'm really stupid and will just disown me. But it's good crack. I enjoy it.
Yeah, it was a good quiz actually. The quiz master did a good job of it. Someone ended up winning 250 quid as well. I was a little bit jealous. We thought we did well. I came out with I think it was a total of, I think the highest score we scored 36, and I was like, oh, it's not bad. Actually, we might be in here. I looked around the room, and the average age was quite high. And I was like, then they read out the scores, and the winning score is 48. It's 50 points off. I was like, how in God's name does anyone know that?
Oh yeah.
So with that extra £250 from Chris, we can now add an extra super sub onto our website. All money leads towards
you know
DXP.
all too well that would be way more than £250.
Yeah.
So next weekend's games, we've got another big weekend of rugby before I think the Prem comes back in 2 weeks, a week and a half. So we've got more Investec Cup games and then the Six Nations, and we'll finish on the Six Nations, but we'll just go over the Investec Cup games and I'll get your guys' thoughts on it. So Bordeaux, Quins, set to be a pretty good game, I think. Leinster, La Rochelle. We'll go through it.
I think La Rochelle won't do it.
Yeah.
It's a big gamble though, betting against.
Yeah, but La Rochelle won last 2 years.
Leinster.
You're going Leinster, no?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Northampton Bulls.
Northampton.
But
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
I don't know where that is.
The big threat to Northampton there is the Bulls power game, like,
okay, and it's in
which is impressive. Yeah, but I don't.
Northampton's not a slouch in a power game, like the.
No, 100%. But like South Africans just have that like raised on biltong strength, like it's just...
brought up on biltong.
Yeah.
Make country strong.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that term, country strong. But yeah, you are right. Like they are just built to, I don't know, fend off lions. Literally.
Yeah, it's next level, and then they've got to go up. And Northampton, like I say, I'm not saying it's bad. I did see something on Twitter earlier saying that like they've been screwed around a little bit by Rugby South Africa in terms of how they're traveling. Like they're not all on the same flight. They're flying on like the Tuesday to the UK, so they've got no like rest time. And like that's an odd way to treat like what is the only South African team left in the competition, right? And it's hard enough when you're traveling from South Africa.
Yeah.
Razzie Mind Games. That's what it's got written all over it. Like South African Razzie Mind Games.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I do think that'll be that's. I think it'll probably be the Saints' sternest test yet.
That's probably potentially my game of the weekend. I think actually.
Yeah, it's the one I'd probably be most excited about.
So that's Saturday, 2000. I might have to watch that.
I mean, Saints are my second team, so.
Yeah. And then the final one, guys, is Toulouse Exeter, but in France as well.
I mean, I love like I said, I want to back every Prem team because love the league, and it's one of those things where like you almost get like a little bit of like international feel about club rugby, but like don't take it. Exeter surprised a lot of people this tournament and this season, but a betting man's money's on Toulouse, right? Like
it's hard to put money on. Like you look at Chiefs, massive loss, then we ran out and beat Bath, and then sort of next, and they're not a team that you can comfortably like safe bet. You just don't know what's going to happen. So in France, we've just chatted about how much like a home game is worth in France as well. Like,
and Toulouse is like a rugby city, right? Like they are crazy for it down there.
You'd be mental to not back Toulouse in that game.
Yeah.
Well, I might just be mental, boys.
I'm trying to find scores of the last time these guys met, but I can't find them anywhere.
I don't know if they have in recent times. Like I said, it's not.
The only thing I can find is literally a Heineken Cup final, 2018, but I think it was obviously a long time ago to Chiefs, but I think that was a while ago.
Look, Chiefs, that's a quality side. They've got talent across the park. Feo Boso, Josh Hodge, Russi Twima, Ethan Roots. Like, there's some real quality in there, but if they win, it will be the upset of the tournament. Like it would be the biggest surprise where you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And I hope it happens. But it's just
if one thing's going to make me look at the group chat, it'll be Chris like Exeter, and you're just going to get that emoji, but just like a set of two eyes.
I'm gonna have to put the old to put the old Twitter down on that day, like if that happens. But
yeah.
Nice.
And then Six Nations returns, women's.
Six Nations,
Scotland, England.
Yeah.
Ireland, Wales, and
Absolutely.
France, Italy.
Yes.
What do you guys reckon?
So obviously England Red Roses have been really strong. Sort of they won relatively sort of comfortably, so they're going in. But Scotland again beating Wales at home for one of the first times. They're riding a real big sort of high at the moment.
That's probably a hill too far, I think. Like it's unfortunate. Like, I mean, it's happy for me, right? Because being an Englishman, like it's a quite happy situation. But the Roses at this point are almost undeniable. Like there's no one they've really struggled against. I think France are probably the only
They had
test.
they had a sort of slow start. The first half, first game sort of didn't come out particularly well. Would be expected to be sort of tries clear, but didn't. But second half, first game, they put it away. Wales just looked comfortable, in control throughout. The Ireland Wales game, I think, could be really interesting.
Yeah, that'd be a decent game.
They both not really performed great, but at certain points in games have shown a glimpse. I think that, and France Italy. Italy.
I think that's probably going to be the best game of the weekend.
Yeah, them two.
Yeah, it could be.
pretty good for those of you that are. And again, if you're not on, we do have the Six Nations Women's Fantasy League. So if you are playing fantasy rugby and you are playing the Women's Six Nations, please feel free to search at Dream 15 Rugby. You'll find our league. Please jump in. You do at the moment have a strong chance of beating me, as I didn't captain Gildan in the first round like every other person did. Once she scored some tries, got player of the match, and sailed through with 150 points. So yeah, if you want to join our league, you can already beat me. Brilliant.
It's not hard.
Where do you feature on the league, mate, at the moment? What position?
I think I didn't have a bad weekend. I think I'm actually 2 points behind Chris. I think it was after last weekend. But yeah, I think at one point I was beating the fancy rugby game. The last game happened, and I'm not.
When you say by 2 points, is that Chris is on 3 and you're on 1?
Chris is on 9. I'm on 7. No, we're not doing too bad, but we strong middle third.
Yeah.
Which I'd like to think we'd be better from what is 2 fancy rugby heroes, but yeah, goes to show you what people do now.
Yeah, I like same situation in Captain Kildon, and then like this is the thing about the women's game is it's almost more like there's more variables, like there's more variance in the score lines. Like sometimes it's massive, like Kildon's 2 tries, player of the match, like absolutely smoked it, and then it's just running meters. Like I don't know if she's just got the GPS on before the game and running around the pitch or not, but like it's yeah. But then other games, it's just nothing. So like I think even if you captained, I think Kildon in the second round was still one of like the best choice things you get, but the variance was huge. It was nowhere near 150. I think it was like 70 points you would have got.
Yeah. Even
So
captain,
yeah. Well, just catching up.
And this, I think I shared it on our Twitter this weekend, but obviously there hasn't been part of the Women's Six Nations this weekend. But the Fancy Rugby Geek wrote a big piece for the Guinness Six Nations about sort of what we've learned so far in the first 2 weeks of the game. And it is, if you follow the sort of online, people have said that the rating system for the women's game is sort of so much more harder than what was the men's game. They're fighting it a lot harder.
Is next level. Like so hard. The men's Six Nations was you could pretty much get your like ideal if you wanted somebody you could usually afford them. Like the women's is tough.
Yeah.
Like I've been playing without a super sub the last 2 rounds, boys, because like I can't afford them.
Secret tactic. Just no super subs.
Yeah. Like it's been tough. It's been rough.
Yeah.
Like, it's been rough over in the McKenna household.
He's covered it off along with some like good picks. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back into some fancy stuff.
Cool.
Did you guys see the news as well about the? Sorry, just before we jump off, like not about the women's, but did you guys see the news about the Autumn Nations being broadcast on TNT as well? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So all Autumn Nations, for anyone who hasn't seen it, all Autumn Nations games will be broadcast via TNT, which is the same one that does the Investec Champions Cup and does the Gallagher Prem. So my initial feeling is like it's really good for club rugby, right? Yeah. So for those fans who follow club rugby, love club rugby, already have a subscription to TNT because it's really the only way you can watch most of the games unless you're watching PRTV, which obviously being the Norse that I am, I watch them all. But this kind of consolidates what is international. I think it's probably the first time we've got like international and club in the same place. And I get it from the perspective of maybe like the Welsh, Scottish, Irish, who like they're not going to have TNT naturally because the URC isn't broadcast through there. But for the Prem clubs, it's quite good to kind of trickle the international feed to what is hopefully the.
I am all for consolidating all of the games onto one platform to streamline the whole process and allow people to engage and watch with rugby, because there was a really long time where I just dropped off because I didn't have Sky, I didn't get BT Sport, all that sort of stuff, just because it was so expensive. And there would be the occasional game on like ITV or BBC. I'm talking like club games now. And I think it's probably fair to say viewership like really suffered throughout that period, probably. I mean, there's obviously other factors to it, but that's probably a contributory thing.
I agree.
But I'm all for it. I think it's a good thing.
My initial reaction was it's good, right? Because if people go to one place and all your rugby's in one place, yeah, brilliant. Why wouldn't you? And I'd expect to see the rugby fans that are already paid up for it watching it. I'd expect to see viewership go up of probably both, because there will be some people now, again, like you've mentioned, the URC, the Irish, the Scots, they might go and buy TNT for what's the Autumn Nations now, and then actually once they've got TNT, if they've got the subscription and they bought it, what you might find is that they actually watch a bit more Premiership rugby, because now they've got TNT and they've bought it because of the Autumn Internationals, but it's followed into what is the sort of Prem. So you might see some viewership go up.
The biggest thing TNT could do, like the best thing I think, would be to just become like the home of rugby, right? So you buy the rights to the URC, and then you buy the rights then you have the rights to the Prem, the URC, and there's talk of like the Six Nations going behind a paywall, and were that to happen, like get that one as well, and then have it all in one place.
It's Super Rugby.
And on a separate note, if anyone at TNT is listening and is looking for a fancy rugby game, maybe up and coming, that's looking for a partnership in some fancy games, please just give us a reach out, give us a shout.
Just heartless.
Just
on the Autumn Internationals, like the games look pretty good actually. I wasn't tracking really which games there were, but England, New Zealand to kick us off, Scotland, Fiji, Ireland, New Zealand, England, Australia, pretty traditional sort of stuff. But I don't know, the past couple of years, like England have played your traditional games against New Zealand, all that sort of stuff. Maybe they played like an odd game, but it's typically been like Japan, like Samoa. Mind you, like Fiji, did we play Fiji?
Yeah, you lost to Fiji.
No, that was in the warm-up games, and you were there.
Oh, was that the?
Being so happy about it.
That was a World Cup warm-up games that you lost to Fiji. Yeah.
You know what we did. You know what we did win though, now.
Yeah.
Our quarterfinal.
Yeah. Fucking Argentina.
But we also beat twice.
Fuck us.
See, there's some cracking games coming up, and no, I think the fact that TNT's got the rights to that, and from next year all the Prem games and all that sort of good stuff, I think it's a good thing, and it can only be a positive thing, right?
I know people are saying that it's because it's expensive, right? And I get it, because Amazon Prime, I saw a really interesting kind of point on Twitter. Amazon Prime is cheaper, and more people have a subscription to Amazon Prime just by virtue of wanting to get their packages earlier, right? Because next day, 2 days delivery isn't fast enough. You now need next day or same day delivery. Soon we'll be just sitting there like baby birds, bring it now. But it's how many people watching Amazon Prime are interested in rugby, and I'd argue it's probably a small percentage of the market, where if you're on TNT, there's a good chance that you're a sports fan in general, and that you can be you're sat there one random Saturday and a rugby game's on and nothing else, and I'll stick that on, and then it gets you kind of started into the game, and having the internationals there is more of a draw, right?
I started watching I'm not a baseball fan, but the Toronto Blue Jays against I can't remember, it's Vancouver yesterday or 2 days ago, I mean, it asserted in my mind like I hate baseball and I don't understand. It's really boring, but I still watched it, right? And it's the same sort of thing with like Aussie rules, whatever. I mean,
Got nothing else on. You're like, oh, okay.
yeah, there will be games that you will watch and you'll be like, oh, this is pretty cool. I think they show like NBA games and stuff like that, and it's it'll be one of those things that more people will be attracted to it and that sort of stuff. Even then, man, like you talk about, I mean, it is expensive, it is, but
£30 a month, right?
I would rather that than like at one point I was looking at Sky, and even on the Now TV stuff, you're talking. I mean, with the sports package, it comes to like 50, 60 quid on Now TV. On Sky, you're looking in excess of 100, potentially. So, 30 £30 for the, for all of that sport.
And even it's not, it's like go to a pub, mate, and just watch it in a pub.
Yeah.
And
go be social.
£30, it is sort of a ticket probably to one of those Premiership games for that month.
Yeah.
When if you can sit at home and you're going to watch every single one of them.
Well, not Bath, but yeah. That was the other thing. Did you see how much those New Zealand games that you were talking about, Ollie? You know how much the tickets are at Twickenham? I was looking at them. The awesome internationals. It was 200. I think it was like someone said it was like 299 for the like top tier tickets.
And you're like way in the. Are you like really?
No. I mean that's a decent. That's a catwalk ticket, right? But like, so it goes from like 99, I think it was, to like 299. But even so, like, I mean, you can justify it for Twickenham because like ultimately they fill it, right? Like,
I didn't really get it, man. I do get it. I do understand it. Like, I went to watch France, Italy last year for the Six Nations with some friends, and the whole thing. We flew out on a Friday evening to Rome, watched the game on the Sunday, did loads of fun stuff as well. Flew back on the Monday morning, back in time for work, and it cost us. I mean, like, probably similar to one ticket for each person to a Twickenham game. Yeah, because the tickets to the stadium are like €30, if that, and it's like it's dead cheap.
It might be my like South Wales upbringing, but for £299, I'd expect to be in that starting 15.
On the pitch, shaking hands.
I'm buying my way onto that pitch.
Yeah,
I know I'm like in my late 30s, but I'd expect to be mascot. I'd like to be running out like holding Max's Smith hand or something. £300.
Yeah. But the problem is, like, we complain about it, but then people buy the tickets and they fill that stadium. Yeah, like Twickenham is full. Like, and for England, New Zealand, it will undoubtedly be full.
Oh, it will.
So I'll be looking at tickets for troops intently in the run up to that game.
And me. Thanks again, guys, for joining us for another session with the DXV guys, and look forward to next week. More talk about the Investec Challenge Cup and the Six Nations. If you'd like to get in touch about any of the focus groups and how you can sort of help us in developing and designing DXV and what it's going to look like and all that sort of stuff, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. Subscribe onto our social media channels, YouTube and all that sort of stuff for more information. And look forward to next week, guys. Thanks very much. We still need a jingle to like intro, outro, but that concludes our third
The jingle is nipped, but it won't be for the YouTube subscribers. It'll only be for the Spotify providers, because I can't download the jingle to add to our YouTube. So what I will do is I'll add a little video montage at the end of this of me at Twickenham for our YouTube subscribers out there. However, for our Spotify listeners, you'll get a nice jingle, which I will insert here.